What's going on, everybody? Appreciate everybody watching these videos. First and foremost, gotta say I'm pretty grateful for the amazing comments that people have been saying. So number one, gotta address that. Number two, just wanted to give a little bit of a quick update. You're probably gonna see a bunch of shirt changes because this is gonna be over multiple days, of course, and multiple filming sessions of the RZ. But just a little bit of behind the scenes of kind of what I've been doing while I'm waiting for the frame to be done from powder coat. I am prepping all the parts, additional parts that I'm going to send to powder coat. Some of these pieces to the wheel, swing arm, just other miscellaneous pieces. Pulling bearings out of everything. I'm going to be replacing quite a few of the bearings on this bike. And also getting the rims prepped too. I am going to be powder coating the rims. Definitely not white. It's going to be a different color most likely. So kind of some of the things to note about this like RZ is that it has 40,000 miles on it, so it's already somewhat been molested in the fact that it is a premix bike. It does not have the shaft, the worm gear, I guess you could say, to pump oil. It doesn't have the oil pump. It doesn't have the lines. It doesn't have the tank, etc. Also, it's missing the complete airbox for it. It's got a K&N air filter on it, so I'm not like super the point being is I'm not super anxious if things don't quite match or things like that. I am going to be keeping the likely keeping the body work the same, like as in the Kenny Roberts paint scheme and plastics, that sort of thing. But other than that, like, it's not really too worried about making this like pristine, because it cost me like tens of thousands of dollars to make it like absolutely pristine and I guess back to complete original form. And the fact of the matter is 90% of these parts that are missing aren't available anymore. So it's finding an aftermarket option and things like that, and or eBay, and people on eBay want ridiculous amounts of money for this stuff. So got to work with what I have. Obviously it's 2025 and this bike was in 85, so what are we already, like 40 years old, something to that effect. So pretty crazy if you think about it. So can't believe the 80s are already that old. Wow, crazy. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been generally doing. I picked up a few cool tools too as well. Picked up a thread chaser from Harbor Freight. Dremel drill, been the most helpful tool that I've had, and I think I'm going to do a video of all the tools I bought over the course of doing these bikes that have been extremely helpful to have. Also got a grease gun, a few other little things that matter. I'm looking for one other thing that I bought, which was bearing puller. I bought a bearing puller from Harbor Freight. Worked fantastic. Bearings sucked to pull out. Every one of them was frozen in, so I had to beat on it basically beat on it with a slide hammer and put heat to it. So luckily they did come out. So that's kind of the update for now. We'll get back to obviously doing a lot more work on it here in the future. It's been long awaited. As you can see, shirt change. But we have got the RZ frame back. And as you can see, frame turned out amazing. Beautiful color. And I also got all of the other head components all done like a satin black. Just beautiful. So now we get to unwrapping and putting it back together. What an absolutely amazing job. Just keep in mind, guys, that if you do have a bike that you powder coat, you will not be able to see the VIN, or lightly be able to see the VIN on it. So just so you know. Beautiful. So I went ahead and got all of these parts done in a satin black. So all the parts that are kind of like connecting pieces, I all wanted them repainted a different color or powder coated a color. So we put them all satin black, and obviously the frame is fire red. And then we got some other really cool colors coming on the way for it. I think they're gonna look good. Alrighty, boys and girls, I got a little carried away last night, as usual it seems whenever I'm working on these bikes. Getting quite a bit done. Taillight, fender, CDI, power valve, coil, some stuff. Steering stem bearings, pain in the arse. Highly recommend getting a bearing seater just to make sure they get seated in all the way, and this is proper seat. Even though it does show a little lip, that it is seated correctly. And then the other thing you have to figure out is how to get your steering stem bearing pressed onto here. I don't have a press. So what I did was kind of something, now I wouldn't call myself a genius, but maybe I'm a genius. I saw somewhere online that the people take the backside of the race, the old race, and because on these bearings, there's a little lip. This outside lip is the bearing. There's the inside portion of it that's very, very light. So you have to hit that. You can't hit the outside or you'll ruin the bearing. So the inside of the race has the little it has a little hook there where it would go around the edge of that. So what I did, because this one was pressed on there at one point, I took a sander, just sand the inside of it out, just so that ever so lightly, so that and you don't have to do a whole lot, but just enough so that it doesn't have to be, it won't press itself back on onto the shaft, and it didn't, luckily, so you don't have to beat it off with a screwdriver. Otherwise that's what you'll have to do. But I did, so I took that, set it on here like so, and then I went and found a piece of pipe. So this is an exhaust pipe actually from AutoZone. I measured out to try and get a little bit close. This is a it's probably a little over 1.5 inches in inside diameter. I really needed 1.5 only. And then, but just something cylindrical to hit with a hammer on top and just pound it down ever so slightly and it'll go on. But yeah, this is my Boss bearing. So this is one of the kits that you can get for this bike, so kind of cool. Other thing you'll need to do is you'll have to get a spanner wrench of some sort. Here's my spanner wrench of some sort for the hook nut that you see here. So that's not a normal nut for anything. So yeah, it's kind of the update for now. I'll keep you guys posted as I go along. Pardon my absolute mess of a garage right now, but I am getting some pretty decent progress on the machine so far. Got the steering stem all installed here, which is fantastic. Tightened it down as best I could to proper spec. I did get a little bit of chip on the steering stem because I forgot to pull half the race off on the first time around before I went to powder coating. So oh well, I mean, you can't see it, not a big deal. Unfortunately, I'm gonna ride this bike. This isn't gonna be a Pavement Princess showroom bike. This is gonna be a ridden bike. So it's gonna get scratches, it's gonna get dents, it's probably gonna have a really fun life. But I wanted to start with something fresh. As everybody knows, starting with something fresh, you know what's wrong with it, you already have touched it, all that sort of thing. So I feel a lot more comfortable riding this bike and maybe riding it a little bit hard, you know, around these Florida roadways. So that's the progress so far. I will keep you guys updated. Right, everybody, so it's like day 4.5, not really sure. Continuing to work on the chassis here. So I got quite a bit done here on it. Got the wiring harness all put back in place. I'm leaving it loose right now and not hanging anything till I get the motor in to make sure everything is situated properly. And not even necessarily the motor, but just like the battery box and swing arm and things like that, just because I don't want it to be a mess. Got the front end all done here on it for now. Everything torqued to spec, and kind of just waiting around now for the powder coat to get done on the rims and then on the swing arm. Once that's done, I can go ahead and basically get a rolling chassis and then onto the motor. Alrighty, so back to working on the RZ again. So really not a whole ton. I'm still waiting on powder coat for a few parts, i.e. the rims, tires, swing arm, etc. But my brother came into town today, so we got to painting up some of the parts that, you know, we have the ability to paint, which are brake calipers, some of the exhaust pieces, hand pieces. So we started with a 1200 degree paint as a base, and then we did like a 550 satin over the top of it. Really, these are going to get hot, but the rest of these parts obviously aren't. But that's what we had for paint, so that's what we did. So then kind of you can see my sweet setup here. So for the, just basically a piece of trim, and then just a piece of wire and hanger for painting the exhaust. So yeah, pretty baller, but that's us getting this paint ready for putting on the bike. Let's go. All right, everybody, so as you can see, I'm in my garage here. Got the garage all shut in my college shirt from work. But nonetheless, wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on my bike, kind of where I'm at right as of now doing this. I've filmed a bunch of videos, of course, that I'm clipping into this video to show kind of where I'm at and the things I've been doing, etc., along the progress. This is the last little clip of this video that I'm going to be putting together for everybody. And then the next video, we'll get into some like real mechanical work and things like that. So I have been waiting around quite a bit for the powder coat guy to get me all the stuff. It took like a month or so to get everything done, excuse me. So during that time, I kind of been just putting the bike together what I can, right? So doing my best to make sure it's kind of dialed in as I go. So far, I got the rear fender on, I got a new tail light. I put on and made like this new bracket here for the license plate, and I folded it up because I think it looks cooler. Nonetheless, I don't have a rear fender for this bike, so I actually went and got an aluminum piece from like Harbor Freight or whatever. Excuse me, Ace Hardware actually. And built a little piece here for the fender. And really all that is to do is to kind of stop debris and whatnot from getting up there. So that's what I did there. Then buttoned everything up as best I could on the bike. I got this fire red done by the powder coat guy, which is basically as close as I possibly can get the frame color. The rest of it, I kind of do a little bit of changes on. So I went with satin, so it's kind of hard to see in this light, but I basically did every single part that I possibly could in a satin black. I went ahead, painted these brake calipers myself, rebuilt them myself, pretty easy to do, and painted them satin as well, if I didn't mention that. So yeah, so the bike is pretty much, you know, powder coated or painted in as best of shape as I possibly can get it right now. And super cool thing is I just got back from the powder coat shop with brand new powder coated parts. So this is the swing arm here. As you can see, I did a satin silver. Pull it out in the light a little bit so you can see. Super, super freaking cool. Turned out amazing. Darker than what it originally had, but man, does this look freaking good. Then I went ahead, and the biggest and baddest part of it, I went with bronze rims. So this is a Highland bronze powder coat color. I think these rims turned out absolutely fantastic. So this is one of the pieces to the rear rim. But man, I think that this part right here is going to go so good on that red frame there. Just going to look absolutely beautiful. One other thing that I did during the time too as well is I went ahead and painted the pipes. So got Toomey pipes obviously, so they're kind of hidden back here, but went ahead and cleaned them up, painted them up. That was a process. So my Toomey pipes were basically, rusted at the end of the day. They just weren't in good shape. So went ahead and got some, I believe it was VHT engine enamel paint, as you can see right here. So I started off with a coat of their high temp, really high temp, like 2000 degree paint. Unfortunately, that was like a matte paint, so it didn't quite match. So then I did a initial coat of that, base coat of that, and then I went with a 550 degree satin color over the top of that, which matches everything perfectly. So hopefully that'll hold up as time goes on, to be determined, of course. But yeah, so that's kind of the update here. Next video, we'll definitely be doing some more mechanical work with putting together the chassis and things like that. I'll show kind of putting the bearings back in the swing arm. We're going to get some tires put on this bike as time goes on, and I cannot wait but to start on this motor. This motor has been sitting right here forever. I already know I'm probably going to have some cylinder repairs, so it's going to be a pain, but you know, part of the process, I guess. So yeah, so that's the update for now. Thanks for following along. I appreciate you guys watching the videos. Please like, subscribe, follow if you like this stuff. I just love making these. I love making these videos. It's pretty fun. So it's a cool little hobby for me. So yeah, Big Booty Judy for you.